Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the November 4th, 2022 edition of Automation Hour. We are so thrilled that you could join us today. So as always, we'll start by going through a few logistics. So we have everyone muted that's joining us today. We are absolutely happy to have you interact with us. Please post questions either in our Trailblazer community group called Salesforce Automation Hour or here in the question widget within GoToMeeting. We are recording this, and as soon as the session wraps, we will get that processed and posted to our YouTube channel. So we invite you to connect with us through our social channels, whether that's the Trailblazer community, Twitter, LinkedIn, of course, YouTube for our videos, and of course, our website for our upcoming sessions. Speaking of upcoming sessions, we do still have several to close out the year, and we're working hard on the beginning of next year. So please hit the website and register for our great upcoming presenters. Now, as always, we cannot bring this to you without the support of our sponsors, so we want to say thank you to them. First off, we have Concrete.io. They have been with us since we launched Automation Hour just about 7 years ago. And we've also added a few new sponsors that we want to make sure we shout out to as well. Our first newer sponsor is Sumo Scheduler. So if you have not checked them out, we certainly encourage you to do so. And of course, our other sponsor that definitely helps us bring you the email marketing to remind you to come join our amazing sessions is ActiveCampaign. So there's definitely a couple of great things for you to check out there. As always, this is brought to you by your co-hosts. You've got me, Michelle Hansen, as well as MVP Rakesh Gupta, who is with us here as well today. But we want to leave plenty of time, so we're going to hand it over to today's amazing guest speaker, Pavel Dobrzynski. So Pavel,
Hello.
Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be today with you. I've been listening to this event several times, and now it's my first opportunity to speak. So I'm pretty excited about this. So before we start, please take your phones or go to the menti.com and type the code. Also, Michelle, if you can paste the link to the community, so we can you can join. It's important that that you are here and that you respond, because you will be participating in this session as much as I am. So once you register, once you are in, please press the heart, give me the like, so I know you are there. Yeah, amazing. So far we have 11, 12 people, 14. Please don't hesitate. And you will give your input to the presentation. So here is how the Menti works. As I will be presenting the slides, the same slides will be showing on your device. And I didn't say it, you can either use your phone or you can use your computer if you have two screens. If you have one screen, you probably better use your phone because you don't want to switch from one to another. And sometimes there will be questions. Yeah? So sometimes there will be just informative slides, sometimes there will be questions. If there are questions, you need to answer them either by typing the words or putting the slider or giving a number or selecting a choice from a number of choices. And then you need to press the submit button. Yeah, the submit button is important, because if you don't do it, then your question is not being sent. Also, if you don't answer to that question, you will see something like you see on the top of the screen, and that basically means that the presentation went forward, and you need to press the button go to the slide. So then you follow the pace of the presentation, and you are ready for the next question. There is the Q&A button, which I incidentally forgot to switch off. But please put your questions as usual in the Q&A panel of GoToWebinar. And sometimes the picture may be big. You may be surprised that you don't see the question. Then you need to scroll down and you will see that question. So here again, the first question. Let's try how it looks like. Where are you calling from? So just put a finger on the screen, press the submit button. I'm calling from Poland. It's the dot here. So I see quite a lot in America and Canada, and surprisingly, we don't see anyone in Europe. Yeah, we see Europe. Thank you. Yeah, welcome Europe. Nobody from Asia. Oh, really? Somebody is that much north in Canada? Amazing. If you can just type in the chat panel where exactly you are calling from, that must be called here. Yeah. So having said that, we also had an Africa here. So welcome everyone. This is about me. Basically 4 facts that you need to know about me. I love dogs. I love t-shirts with company logo. I love Salesforce, and particular in Salesforce, I love flows. And I'm not that bad because in the FlowFest contest, I was in top 10, but I wasn't the first one. So please treat everything that I'm saying today. It's not the holy truth, yeah, because I'm only number 10, not number 1. So there are certainly people that are better than me in flows. Okay, so let's start, and now please tell me what's your preference with process automation. Yeah, we are going to speak about new flows, but there are a number of other process automation tools. Here you can use workflow rules, you can use process builder, Apex development, and flows. And I'm really curious whether you still use the other tools or not. So you see the average, but the statistics is somehow misleading. If you click on that chart, you will see that there are people who still use process builder. There are not that many people that use workflow rules, and you basically don't use Apex. But we also have people who never used flows. So I think today there will be something for everyone. So we will be speaking also about the very elementary stuff, but then we move to some more advanced issues. So I hope everyone will find something for themselves. Okay, so now let's go to the true and false game, and you have basically 3 questions, and you have to say whether this is true or false. Yeah, and here they are. So soon you won't be able to create new workflow rules and process builder. You don't need process builder when you have flows. And the third statement is that every process automation can be implemented with flows. So make your choice, make your decision, and we see that we are pretty on the same page with the first 2 questions, but the third question is really 50-50. Yeah, so let's see what the correct answer is. And yes, with the first and second questions, you are pretty much okay. You are right. But as for the last question, I would say not every process automation can be implemented with flows, and there are some more advanced stuff that for which you will need Apex, but definitely we can do more with flows than you could do with workflow rules and process builder. So let's see quickly how the evolution of the process automation look like. And at the very beginning, there were only workflow rules, which is a simple yes if then statement. And it also only fired on the events on record create or update. It's not that way. Sorry. And then we had flows. Yeah, so flows are pretty old. They are pretty long time in Salesforce. But flows could be launched from a button or from a link or Visualforce page, but not from being triggering an event like workflow rules. So then we had Process Builder that appeared later, and then we had new other tools such as schedule triggered flow, and then we had record triggered flows, and finally it's being said that the workflow rules and process builder will be retired. So as of winter 23, you cannot create new workflow rules. With Spring, so with the next release, you probably won't be able to create new process builders. And the takeaway number one is go with triggered flows, because everything you can do with workflow rules and process builder, you can also do with flows and many more. So let's go to our example. And we will be talking today about a fictional company called Lightning Resources. That company basically hires consultants and sells the consulting time to their customers. And they created a website in which these consultants or applicants can register, and those applications are being then processed and either accepted or rejected. So pretty simple operating model. And also the Salesforce design is quite simple. So they use contacts to represent applicants, and they don't use person accounts. So for every contact, they have one-to-one relationship with an account, which is called administrative account, and they capture all these applications as cases. So there was an initial pilot deployment, and now we are in the agile development mode when new features are being added. You are Salesforce architect, and your role is propose scalable and future-proof design. So, having said so, we have the first requirement, which is populate case reason. So every time case is created and the case reason is blank, then we want to automatically set this as other. How can we do it? So let's quickly go and yeah, I should have refreshed this before. Hopefully it works. So let's go to Salesforce and see how we can implement our requirement. So we go to setup. We type flows, and we will be creating new flow. And this is people who never used flows. This is very easy, at least to start. So you don't need to bother with all those options. We just select record triggered flow. So this is something like process builder. So this will be flow that will trigger on an event on an object. So we need to say on which object that event will be triggering. We say on case. When the case is created, and we define the conditions that the case reason is blank. And as you start typing here, you see the prompt, so you can make a selection. Then we have two options for the flow. There are two types of the flow: fast field updates and actions and related records. We select the left one. And now we have the beginning of our flow, and then we just need to add one element. So basically what we want to do on that triggering record, we want to set the case reason to other. And that's it. It's almost like in Process Builder. The only difference is that you need to name this element. Yes, so Process Builder did this for you. In flows, you have to name these elements yourself. So I set like something like set case reason, done, save. Save, activate, and test. So when we create new case, and basically we only need to set the origin, and I click save, we see that the case reason has been automatically set to other. So pretty easy, and you have just created your first flow. I would say it's even faster than with Process Builder. So here you should know a little bit about when these flows fires, because we have two types of flows, and they are called before save flows and they are called after save flows. And if you look at the order of execution, basically here you have all the operations that you can find in Salesforce documentation, and also the numbers that I put here, they just refer to actual numbers from the Salesforce page. I grouped them into some categories. So you see that after the first operations, when you initialize the record, then you have before save flow. So this is the flow that I just used. Then you have Apex triggers, then you have validations, and then position number 7 is something that can be called soft save or save no commit or draft save. So the record is saved to the database, but it's not being committed. And then we have after triggers. Then we have a bunch of other process automation. So here we have all the assignment rules, auto response rules, work rules, escalation rules, process builder, and then we have after save flows, which is basically after nearly everything. I say nearly because after flows we have roll-up summary field calculation, so something that you need to remember. And then we have the full save. So that's why the flows are being called before save and after save. Now they have also an easier name. Fast field updates is the name for the before save flow, and actions and related records is the name for the after save flow. But if you are doing your automation with flows, you need to know when it triggers. And the takeaway number 2 is whenever you have updates on the same record that triggered your flow, you use before save flows or the flows for fast field updates. Yeah. Okay, so here we have our second requirement. And if you use the Web2 case, you know that if the contact, if the email on the Web2 case form matches an existing contact in the database, that contact is being automatically assigned to that case. But if the contact doesn't match anything in the database, then basically a contact is not created. Yeah, so we need process automation to create the contact for us. And except for the contact, we also need to create this administrative account. And now is your call. How would you do it? Yeah, basically we have two choices. Here we already have one flow, so we can either modify the flow and add some extra stuff to it, or we can create new flow. And I'm just curious, what would be your decision? Yeah, you are an architect, and you have to make a decision. Are we going to create new flow, or are we going to modify the existing one? And I see that you say modify existing one. I tend to disagree. Not always majority is right. And I would say create a new flow. This is how it will look like. This will be the after save flow, also known as actions and related records. And it needs to be the other type of flow because we are creating records. So this is the logic of the flow. In the entry criteria, we say that the case comes from web. It doesn't have contact, and it needs to have email, yeah, because we need to have something to search for the contact. And then we search for the contact. If we found the contact in the database, then we just simply update the triggering record with contact and account. If we don't find this record in the database, then we first need to create an account because we will need that account ID on contact. Then we create contact, and finally we update the triggering record, putting contact and account ID on the case record. So again, we have demo time. You can click on the link and go to the Web2Case web form. Please don't start. You can start entering the information into the form, but don't press submit because I need to activate my flow. So I already created the flow, and it's being called capture applicant. You can see that it looks exactly like it was presented on the screen. I'm going to activate the flow. And now we can go and see if we see any cases here. So let's go and see if we have any cases coming. So this is the case I just created a while ago. Let me go and create the case also. So I click on the application form and I put some name. I put the requirement 002, just that we know that this is the case coming from this requirement. Back to home, you can click back to Menti, so then you come back to the presentation, and let's see if we have any cases being created. Yes, so we have a few cases, and let's open that one, the retester. We see that a contact has been created, the retester, and the administrative account, the retester, has also been created. So that works. And here is our next takeaway. Use after save flows for actions and related records. So whenever you want to create a case or create an account or you want to update a related record, you use after save flow. Okay, but you know, things go forward, and you might have noticed that, or perhaps maybe not, that the cases are not being assigned to the correct queue. Yeah, so we wanted the cases to be assigned to application queue. We created assignment rules for that, but unfortunately, those assignment rules don't work. And Salesforce identifies this as a known issue, and they say, okay, use process automation to make an assignment to your queue. So we need to create another flow, or maybe modify the existing one, and assign cases that are coming from the application page, assign them to our queue. So again, next question, and now we have even more choices, because not only we can create new flow, and then it can be either before save or after save, but we also have two flows to modify. Yes, so we have 4 choices, and you see it's 15 minutes of my presentation, and we already have 4 flows or 4 choices to make. Yeah, so please don't need to think too much about this. Just whatever you think could be the correct option. So I see that majority would like to modify an existing flow, and I see that you want to modify the after save flow, and basically only one person says that you or she wants to create new before save flow, and my answer to this would be yes, we create new before save flow. Why? Because this is an action on the same record. So we use this before save flow. We use this same record updates. And in this flow, we basically need 2 elements. Here we need to get QID, and this is getting the record using the developer name. Then I get the ID of that queue and assign it to my case, and that's it. Yes, and because this is a completely different condition from my previous flow, when I which was started on case reason was blank. Yeah, I can do it as a separate flow. Yeah, so let's see how it works. So again, I go to flows, and I have my before save flow. It's this one. I'm going to activate this flow, and let's see if it works. Yeah, so let's go to the application form. You can do it with me as well. So I have Paul Kuhlmann. I need to put add here, and let's see what we get. So when I go to my cases and I refresh them, and I see my case number for the requirement 3. Unfortunately, the case owner is still new request, so it doesn't assign me to the application queue. So for some reason, that flow is not working. And I have to tell you, I spent quite a long time to find out what the problem was. And then I tried to create a new flow and make it an after save flow. So what I'm doing here, I'm just changing the name, and I'm saving this as a new flow. And all I need to do is make the change. So it's not fast field updates, it's actions and related records. I click done. That assign element will not work on after save flows. So I need to have an edit element here. So this is an update. I call it update case, and I'm say owner equals application QID. Done. delete this one, save, activate, and let's see if it works. So if you can create a case for me. And request 03. So let's see how it behaves now. We go to cases. Just need to wait until the case is coming. Hopefully it comes.
It was request number 3, right, Pavel?
Yeah, it was request number 3, but it was not the QM1. It should be another one. Let me see the filters here. No, it's all cases today. So you can also create your own. Yes, we have. So we have Paul QU, we have Shannon, and we see that now it is correctly assigning us to the applications queue. Yeah. So why it didn't work then and it works now? And the answer is simple. It's the order of execution. So this we already had. So this is our after save flow that we just created, and this is the reason. When you create a new case and new case is coming, for example, from the web, then it goes to the assignment rules and tries to find an owner for that case. And if it doesn't find an owner in the assignment rules, then it assigns the default owner. So whatever we did in the before save flow, it was replaced with the assignment rules. So that's why we had to go to after save flow, even though it was a same record update. So this is our next takeaway from that, our next lesson. Please think of the order of execution, and you may use that chart. I don't know if you can post it to the panel, Michelle. You can use the chart. I spent 8 hours preparing this on one session. Now I'm reusing this, and I particularly find it very useful. So I'm just going to share this with you. So now we have a bit behind of time, but let's make time for questions from the audience. Michelle, maybe one or two questions, if we do have any.
So far, we don't have a whole lot of questions. Heather did chime in that she would create a new flow if we were creating another record back when you asked that question on Menti. So I think you're doing a great job explaining things so far.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'm creating a new flow, and I will come to that issue also later. I'm creating new flow because it's independent from others. So if something is independent, I see no reason to put this into the same flow, and we can create a new flow. But you may have different opinion. And now we are coming to more sophisticated requirements. And we want to capture alternate contact. Yes, so in addition to the contact details of the person who is applying for the job, we also want to capture contact details of alternate contact. Yeah, so you sometimes provide the details, and basically the requirement is to create these extra fields on the form, on the case record itself. And we also want to search for that alternate contact in the database and assign it to the case if that contact exists. If it doesn't, then we want to create a new contact and obviously this administrative account. So again, coming to the question again, being Salesforce architect or being Salesforce admin is, you always need to make choices. You always need to make decisions, and this is not an easy decision, I would say. Basically, it will be an after-save flow because we will be creating records, but we can either create a new flow because it's a different type of information. This is here we have contact, here we have an alternate contact, so we have two different parts of our process automation, or we can modify an existing flow because we are anyway creating contact and account. So why should we create another flow for creating contact and account when we already have a flow for creating contact and account? Yeah, and I see that it's quite a 50-50. It's a tie. So I have a choice to start first with the second choice. Yeah, so let's say I want to put all my logic in a single flow, and you can approach this in a multiple ways. My first approach is, okay, let's do the same way I would do this with Process Builder. So first I search and for the applicant. If not found, that I create the record. Then it's the number two. I check if there is an information about the alternate contact because it's an optional, so it may not be there. If it is, then in the next decision, I need to check if these details for the alternate contact are the same as an applicant or maybe different, because somebody can provide their details as an alternate contact. So we have to consider this because we don't want to create duplicates. And then if not, if this is another contact, then we just create the alternate contact and account. So this is pretty simple. I think it's quite obvious for the analysis, not difficult to create, and it works. But there is always a but. Yeah, I would say it's not ideal. And my question to you is, what could be done better? What would you do, differently here? And just spend a bit of time. Also, people who said create another flow, you may express your concerns. And I won't move forward until I see an answer here.
So Pavel, while we're waiting, we had a question come in from, I think it's Hosu.
Mm-hmm.
I probably butchered that name. I'm so sorry. Tell me how to pronounce your name. But the question is, so an assignment rule always operates on cases and will overwrite what you assign in a before save flow?
Yes.
As long as you're using assignment rules. That is what will happen. If you're not using assignment rules, then obviously they won't fire. But yes, if assignment rules are in play, then it would overwrite anything assigned in a before save flow if the assignment rules run.
So my understanding is that there is something that's called default case creator, and if you don't have assignment rules, then it assigns you this default case creator, but after the assignment rules were supposed to happen. But obviously we can test this, and let me check if I have any assignment rules here in the flow. I will check it later. Okay, so what could be done better here? We have two responses. The create
can
process
we hop back to previous slide, get a request to hop back to the previous slide.
Excuse me. Yeah, move to previous.
Yeah. I think some people would like to see that in order to answer that question.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So I wait a while. Please don't spend too much time on it. Really, I appreciate that you want to think, and you know, I spent much more time thinking on it, and it's just, you know, it's not an easy. Yeah. So let's see what we have. So basically, you say create process builder over Subflow, and the other response is also create to Subflow, which I would say yes, you're right. You can create Subflow for it, but I see a bigger drawback, and the drawback is that we have duplicate database elements. So we do twice get record, we do twice create an account, we do twice create contact. And you may say, okay, who cares? I can have 150 create or update elements in the transaction. So we are far from the limit. But you need to be aware that when we are creating account and we are creating contact, and there are some other process automation on those records, they will trigger and they will fire in the same transaction. So whatever we have on contact and account, this will fire twice. Yeah. So the good practice is that we don't put like wherever we have the database operations, either get records or create records, update records, we just group them together. This is the takeaway number 5. Wherever you can, group the operations together. And here you have another flow. You will get this presentation after the session, so you can analyze this. When I try to make it, you know, properly, yeah, so at first we have get records, and we just get, you know, both records for the contact and the alternate contact. Then we check whether you know, those contacts exist in the database, how they match what we have on a case. When we have to create an account, we add them to collection. Then we do the same for the other type of information. So for the email of the alternate contact, exactly the same. We could do Subflow for it, yes. Then we have number 4 is create records. Yes, so we have one element when we create 2 accounts, but then we need those account IDs to be put to our contacts. Yes, so when we create contacts, we need to first get the account ID. So we need to again browse through the collection, check which account belongs to, you know, which contact, and then we add the contacts, update the account ID on contact, add those contacts to collection, and the last element is number 6 is create contacts, and then we have update triggering case. One disclaimer, this flow isn't working. I didn't have time to test it, and probably it wouldn't be working. So probably it needs some more elements in it to work. But we have single SOQL for get contact, single DML for create account, single DML for create contact. And I didn't tell you, but we can do it on the next slides. Here, if we go here, you have the thumbs up, thumbs down, so you can express your opinion whether you like it or not. Yeah. So what would be your choice? Do you like this flow or you don't? So you do like it, that flow. probably because there are very few DML statements and everything is grouped. But I have some concerns here. So we have really increasing number of elements. We just create 2 contacts, 2 accounts, and we have number of elements here, which also count to some limits. We need to several times look through the collections. We have multiple decision elements, and that flow is really complex. I spent 2 hours creating this, and it's not working because I just created this for the matter of that presentation. So here is another take. There is another possibility. And to those who said create new flow for the alternate contact, I would say, yeah, this is what I would do. Yeah, so I would take the applicant flow, and the logic for the alternate contact is very much the same. We just search for the contact in the database. If it exists, we just update the case record. If it doesn't, we create administrative account and we create contact. Yeah. So here is basically with the orange color, everything that you need to change in the original flow. And now you have 2 flows, very simple ones, and you can express your yes or no. What do you think with those thumbs up, thumbs down, whether you like it or not. We have 2 very simple flows, yeah, and it's easy to analyze. The drawback is that again we have those duplicate get record and create records elements. Yeah, so it was like with our first process builder like flow. So it's not optimized in the term of database operations. There are some techniques how you can deal with this kind of stuff if you are overloading your objects and you are getting close to the limit, so you can take some of the operations to another transaction. Maybe I will present this on another automation hour session. So here is show time. So just to show that it works. So you can go to that application form, go to new application form and start typing. I just go and activate my another flow, capture alternate contact. It's probably that one. So you can see it looks exactly the same as the previous one, except for the fact that it's not the auto layout form. I activate this. And let's see if we have any cases coming here for the requirement for thank you. So we don't have alternate contact, probably because I didn't activate that flow yet. So let's see if we have anything more coming. Let's see Anne. No, nothing in alternate contact. Okay, Google test. Yeah, that's coming. Yeah, so we have contact, we have alternate contact, and the good thing is that whether you have just information for the main contact or the information for the alternate contact, either one flow will fire or both flows will fire. So it's really the logic is being split, and it gives you some simplicity. Yeah, so it's a simplicity, and you can use entry criteria to control which flow execute when, because with this entry criteria you can decide whether the flow executes only when they are needed. So if, for example, the alternate contact is blank, it's not provided, that flow will not execute. Okay, so here is your choice. Yeah, what would you do? And it's you know, very personal, and there is no good and bad answer. You can have one flow, fewer DML, complex logic, or multiple flows, more DML, simpler logic. Yeah, and what is your choice? Just tell me. My choice is multiple flow, more DMLs, but you know, you don't have to think the same as me. Yes, Michelle?
We had Adriana chime in. The application form did not ask for alternate contact information.
Okay, so you should have go to the new application form. Sorry for that. I wasn't clear enough to say you need to go to new application form, and then you have the alternate contact. I'm sorry, I went too quick, too fast. But it works. Some people did found this. Sorry for that. Okay, so here is your choice. Multi-flow flows, more DMLs, and this is my take on it. With workflow rules, we had, you know, entry criteria for each workflow rule. Yeah? So each workflow rule had its own criteria and very simple logic. If you wanted to create several updates, you need to create several workflow rules. On the other hand, we had process builder, and process builder, you know, you could create, you could have created multiple process builders, but also you could have decisions within process builders. Yeah? And at the beginning, people were confused, and also myself. I didn't know, should I create new process builder or should I modify the existing one? After a while, there was, you know, a rule saying one process builder per object. And that's because that process builder has very high initialization costs. So the decision for the performance-wise, and also because of the recurrence within the process builder, the recommendation was to use one process builder per object to get you know, control on what's going on. And with record ticket flows, you have like the flexibility of both. Yeah, so you have the entry criteria like with workflow rules, so you can decide which flow triggers, and then you can have some decisions inside the flow. So you have some flexibility in it, but you don't need to worry that you create multiple flows per object, because this is the recent recommendation that I heard from Salesforce at Dreamforce. The one process per object principle is not longer valid. So don't be afraid creating multiple flows. And this is my lesson from today. So the question is, if we have so many flows, how are we going to manage the complexity? So you can come up with some ideas here. And I see that we are close to the time. I need to work on time management, definitely. Do you have any ideas how you can how you deal with the managing with the growing complexity when you have multiple flows? Using subflows, definitely yes. Using naming convention to make it clear, find pattern that works best for your team. Use flow trigger order and style criteria to manage what should fire when. Subflows wherever possible. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Use flow trigger explorer to help document the flows that can run on an object. Correct. So yeah, basically you just mentioned everything that I wanted to say. It's a naming convention, it's subflows, it's customized list views, Flow Trigger Explorer, and triggering order. So now, if you can just say what's your, approach to those 5. Have you heard about this, or maybe this is first time you are hearing this? So far, I see 4 responses. Are you using this, or maybe it's just, oh, I never heard about this? So we see that, pretty much are familiar and used, but also not everybody is using everything. So let's go quickly through those options, and I will do the demo after when the hour goes. So whoever wants to stay, then we can spend some extra time. The naming convention, absolutely yes. And the rule is that there is no single naming convention. You should choose whatever works for you. But once you choose it, then just stick to it. And my preference is that I start with the triggering object, then I use the before or after, and then the action type. Yes, so case before create, or contact after update. And I put something that describes me the purpose of the flow. At the beginning, I use the arrows to sort before save flows, before after save, but it's not that important anymore, because now we have list views. So list views are very useful, and I encourage you to use it. As you can see, I'm using list view here. I have, you might think I have only a few flows, but in fact, if I go and show you all my flows, then the list is quite longer. So the list view allows you this one to select the flows that you just needed. Yeah, and you have flexible criteria. You can select all my auto large flows, or all my screen flows, or all my case flows, etc. In addition to that, you have also the Trigger Explorer. And Trigger Explorer is something very useful if you want to analyze the logic, the processes that fire on a particular record, on a particular object. So, for example, you go to case and list all the flows that you have on cases. As you can see, you have, we have many flows here, because I do several different sessions on the same org, and I'm using different flows for the sessions, and so far they don't interfere one with another, and I managed to do it. And here you can also see the order in which the flows are being executed, and you can control that order. So you can drag and drop the flow on that list, and when you save it, then it proposes you a number. And that number, it can be anything from 1 to 2000. Flows, numbers that are less than 1000 execute first. Then we have all the flows when we have the order not defined. And after that, we have all the flows which have numbers higher than 1000. And this is pretty useful, because you really don't need to define the order for everything. So if you set the trigger order every time, my recommendation is don't do it, because if you set the trigger order and sometimes comes to that org, he or she might think, okay, why this flow is triggering after the other one, when sometimes it really doesn't matter. If you think of this create contact, create alternate contact, we have 2 flows. It's an absolutely doesn't matter which one is created first. Yeah? So my experience is that majority of the flows the triggering order doesn't matter. If it does, use these numbers to have something being triggering before or after or your unassigned flows. And the last way is creating subflows. So here on that picture, I have an idea how you can create a subflow. So basically, you take an original flow, you clone it, and delete unused elements, and you save it as a subflow, as an auto-launched flow. You need to create some input variables and some output variables with which the subflow will communicate with the other flows. And you simply put this subflow into the place of all the elements in this original flow. And this is how this record trigger flow would look like after using the subflow. I do the demo after we go through the questions and do the wrap up if you want to stay. And now I have the takeaway number 10. Yes, use subflows for reusable logic, but also for the simplicity. So if some piece of logic is just being used once, but you have very complicated flow, I would say put this to subflow, because then you have then your master flow looks clearer. Yeah, it's easier to understand if you can put some piece of logic that is reasonable and can be named the purpose, what it does. Yeah, so it gives you both, and it can be reused, and it reduces the complexity of the flow. And I couldn't cover everything, so we just spent an hour. Still a number of topics hasn't been covered. Maybe one day, if Michelle still and Rakesh still wants me see me here, we can speak about other type of flows. Also about the bulkification challenges when you have mass operations. This is something that you need to take into considerations. Error handling in flows and many more. And with having said that, before we move to questions, if you can just let me quickly know whether you have learned anything today and what was it.
Well, while we are waiting for people to put that information in, did want to let you know that Mart did pop in and just wanted to say this was an excellent webinar and said thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I think the number of hearts we're seeing pop up on these Menti slides absolutely shows that this was a very well received and highly needed session.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes, so it's subflows. It's think how you organize your flows, the flow execution, list views. Nice that something was useful. I don't know how I can scroll it up. Okay, so that was everything from my side. Now we have time for questions from the audience. Michelle, do we have any?
Yes, so we had one come in. Any thoughts on using a formula field to update a lookup field on a scheduled flow to update a specific batch of records? And I would love clarification on this, because anytime we're talking formula fields are not going to trigger until a record is accessed.
Yes. So I had a presentation about this on Dreamforce. And basically, you know, that there is no simple answer, yeah, because it's either or, yeah. So you can, if you want to filter records with certain conditions, for example, like I don't know, cases created today. So there is no way to filter those records in scheduled triggered flows, because scheduled triggered flows don't allow the formula as the entry criteria. So you need to create a custom field, which is a checkbox, and it's true when the case is created today. And you can build this formula. I'm pretty sure you know how to do it. And then you can filter your records in this scheduled triggered flow using the checkbox, yes? And your gain is that you are processing fewer number of records, because you only, you know, have a fraction of records. But the disadvantage is that you need to create a custom field. And in some implementations, in some projects, especially the big ones, the architects are crazy about, you know, creating new custom fields. So they, like, you know, every custom field that is being created, you know, there must be a decision and a technical forum. Do we need this? Can we live without that field, etc. So it's either or, yeah, and it depends on many factors, like what is your gain from you know, filtering those records. If it was like cases created today without that formula field, you probably had to analyze all your cases in the database, which could be a killer. But if you just say all open cases, maybe, you know, and then you can use the decision, was it created today? Then it's either or, yeah. You balance. So there is no one answer for it. Yeah. If you are okay with creating custom fields, go for it.
Gotcha. Okay, so an update to that. The formula field will specify a specific program ID, assigning a program ID for accounts. It will use to populate or update into the lookup field. And for example, this should update on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that sounds to me like a pretty similar use case. You run a scheduled flow every day and you only look for records that have a specific value in that formula field, and only iterate through those records in your scheduled flow. If that's where we're going, I think what you just explained is probably going to work for them.
Correct. Yes. If you are far from the limit of the custom fields, and you can let yourself to create additional formula field, go for it. But if you you know, just have number of, if it makes sense, yes, then create those fields. I don't see anything wrong, yeah, with creating it.
Awesome. All right, we have one more question that came in. So, is your recommendation one flow per object and subflows if necessary?
Okay, so I will go to the next slide, just because for the reason that you can press the finish button and put your email address and get the copy of the presentation. So it's not I'm saying thank you, I'm just, you know, for those who want to leave. And now to your question. My recommendation is don't go for one flow per object, because it's I would say all those things, the Flow Explorer, the entry criteria, the triggering order that Salesforce introduced. All these things are for a reason. Yeah? They are for a reason that you handle multiple flows. And if you do one big flow per object, then you need to either get rid of the entry criteria at all, or you create the entry criteria that are very complex, and also they may not work the way you expect them to work. So the bigger flow you create, the harder it is to analyze. There is bigger chances of making mistakes. And when you have a new requirement, then you go and edit that big flow, or maybe, okay, you have subflows. But then you have to go and edit this master flow. So I would say, and then you have to test it. That there are chances that your existing logic will be affected if you changed something in the flow. So I think it's easier for testing just to create another flow, but it should be like independent from the others. Yeah. So in those examples that we had here, one thing that one place where I would think whether we should have two flows or one flow is the case with this alternate contact and account, because we are basically doing similar stuff to what we already do. So it makes sense to put this in the same flow. And if we have stuff that is independent from the other stuff, so like the logic is have different criteria, then put them into separate flows. If you want to control the order in which they execute, you just use the triggering order, and this is like you had one big flow, because it goes from top to bottom, first flow, second flow. So it is like you had your subflows, but you can benefit from having the entry criteria, and only some flows will execute and some don't.
Right. And to be honest, it's impossible to have one flow per object, because you cannot have both before save and after save in the same flow. So at a
Correct.
minimum, you need 3 just to get everything before save, everything after save, and everything before delete. So one flow per object, while Process Builder could do it, Flow really can't. And nobody, including Salesforce, recommends that.
Yeah. It's even there is the architect site, architect.salesforce.com. There is a posting about record trigger flows, and they even say explicitly, don't create one mega flow. And my personal recommendation before, my personal preference before even Salesforce said that, was go for multiple small flows, but don't make them too granular. Yeah, so you have to just balance. Don't create very very micro flows. I may have a session on it.
We have a couple of people saying that there's not a finish button on Menti, so they're not able to request the presentation and they're having to leave. Is there something we can do to get them a link to the presentation?
Yeah, so let me try to get the link to the presentation. So So definitely we can send it later. Or
Well, if you'll send us a copy of the deck, we can also include this with our recording on YouTube when we get that posted.
I think that's yeah, that will be you know what, I realized, and I asked them that question, that sometimes that finish button is not visible, and they couldn't tell me why. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I don't know why it's working like that. But yes, I will send you the copy of the presentation after we finish. You will have a PDF with all the responses, so you will be able to see how was the word voting and everything.
Sounds great. All right, I think we've gotten through all the questions, which is fantastic because we are definitely at the Salesforce or the automation hour and a quarter.
Yeah.
So just checking the Salesforce community one more time, and I think we've got everything answered.
Okay, so we've said that. Thank you very much for your patience with me, and hope to meet again.
Absolutely. We've got the thank yous pouring in from Kristen. So absolutely great session, Pavel. We're thrilled to have you here. Thank you so much. To everyone else, we appreciate you attending, and we will see you on the next episode of Automation Hour. Have a great day.
Thank you.